Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 220 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, aka the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. There is a kid in my neighborhood that I have determined today is not special. He's not going to do anything significant with his life. He's going to live a life, but it's going to be a forgettable one. And this is a question I pose to all of you, 10 or 15, if I'm lucky, that are listening and are watching. And please remember to like, subscribe, tell somebody you know who's busty, big, top heavy, but not overweight, just overweight in the chest. Let them know about the Bean Man. My phone number is 203-500-7816. But to all you that are watching right now, I'm posing this question to you, and I do this in all sincerity. What age can you fully determine that a person is not special? Today, I did that to a 9-year-old. He's no older than 9. He might be younger. He might be 7. I'm not great with ages, especially with kids, because I don't have my own. But the seasons are turning. It's been a frigid winter. If you're in the Northeast, you know it's been cold, but it is in the 60s the past few days. So I've been out, as has everybody else in my neighborhood, and I like that. I like seeing people outside, especially kids. And I don't mean that in a perverted way. I like seeing kids off their phone, living life, being present. Adults too. Adults outside doing yard work, working on their gardens, flowering, getting ready for spring. I like seeing that. But I also like seeing kids riding their bikes or playing wiffle ball or shooting hoops or walking around the block with their dogs, with their parents. You feel it. There's an energy, a rebirth with springtime. The flowers are blossoming, as is life. We changed the clocks. So there I was. I'm outside. I go for a jog, and I'm warming down. I'm going for a walk around my block after I do my 3 or 4 mile run. Good to be, man. Look at me. I'm slender. I'm healthy. And the reason why I run is so that I'm able to fuck. I want to be able to fuck on top and not lose energy. Huffing and puffing. I want to have enough energy, enough stamina to give you the gasm. Because to be, man, I'm a lover. That's why I don't do it for my own health. I run to stay in shape enough so I have the long. I just said what I said, so I can fuck you to completion. Anyways, but this has nothing to do with fucking because we're talking about kids right now, so we're transitioning back to a more PG-13 topic. Although we are criticizing kids and not calling them special. Let's just get to it, okay? So I'm walking around the block, and this family that I know but I don't know. I've had nothing but, I won't call them cordial, but just hello. You walk your dogs around the block, you say hello, they have a dog, or they're in the front yard, you wave, they wave back. That's the extent of this relationship. I have had no more than a 5-sentence conversation with this family. And this family is 2 parents, white. Everyone in the family is white, 2 boys who are, again, I don't know, 7 and 9 years old. They're always in the yard playing sports, baseball, basketball. I believe today was basketball. But I'm walking around, and these kids, they haven't inspired me. I don't know. It's funny. I was a substitute teacher for how long? Maybe 4 years. And I tried to be a teacher at one point in my life in my early to mid-20s. It didn't work out. Obviously, you see this. The school administrators were probably correct not to hire me as a high school history teacher. But I do remember being a substitute, especially in the middle school. So it was like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And you would see students who had a bit of a sparkle to them. They had an energy. They hadn't lost. It's sad to say, but you'll see a 7th grader, a group of 7th graders, you as a teacher, and you look at them and go, they've already kind of lost their zest for life. There's nothing about those children that inspires you. And that, sadly to say, that's more common than not. But every once in a while, you'll see students who still kind of have their youth. They're not giving in to peer pressure as much as the other students. And I don't know, maybe they have a confidence in themselves, these 7th or 8th graders, but you just see it as a teacher and you don't point it out. Yeah, at least for myself, I don't. I was just kind of, all right, like, all right, he's got something to him, he doesn't. And I don't know what it is. Some people they're special. I say, you know what? Most people are not special. If most people were special, then special would not be a thing. In actuality, most people are not special. Now, the question we're putting out there today is, at what age can you definitively say you ain't shit? You ain't nothing special. We shouldn't put our energy trying towards you. You're a person. That's all you are. You're adequate. And here I was today. I was walking around the block, and I see this kid, the family aforementioned that I talked about. There's 2 parents, but he's out there alone shooting hoops. His brother's not with him. And they have a dog in the front. Their door's open, but the glass door is closed. And the dog's kind of jumping up at the door. You know, he sees me walking. And then he kind of opens the door. And this is a puppy. Not a puppy. It's not, but it's a big dog. It's growing into his body. And he's an active dog. I don't want to say he's a pit bull, but he's kind of got that little bit of pit bull energy to him. Like if he were to get out of that house, and to me, he might, I'm not sure if he'd bite me, but I'd be a little scared. And hand up, I am a pussy, so maybe it's more me than a dog. But the child that I don't think is special, he looked at the dog, and matter-of-factly, he goes, hey, he yells the dog's name, and then he starts to walk up the steps towards the front door, but he does so matter-of-factly, as though he was an adult. Right? No emotions to him. And there's also another thing about him, he was wearing a Cincinnati Reds baseball cap, a flat brim, and we live in Connecticut. Which right away, that makes me question your I won't say your morals, but what's the word? It makes me I'm mistrustful of you. You're somebody I can't trust. Again, maybe that says more about me, but I know there's something about society. Maybe it's a little fucked up, but we will criticize men who change their sports allegiance. You're not allowed to do that as a guy. If you grow up liking one team, for me, it was the New York Yankees, still is. If I decided somewhere in my adulthood that I was going to turn my back on the Yankees and start liking another baseball team, let's say the Red Sox or the Mets or whomever, no guy would trust me. They would judge me for that. They would call me out face to face for doing that. They would be very judgmental of me for doing that, which is a very odd thing because I don't know anybody on the New York Yankees, and nor do you. Most likely, right? You root for whatever sports team you like. And then 3 years later, the team's completely different, completely new team members. The roster turns over, but you still like that team. But if you were to tell your friends, no, I'm rooting for another team now, they'd kick you out of the group. They'd call you an American. But if you divorce your wife or your husband or disown your children, that you'll get more grief for turning your back on your original baseball team than you will your actual family, your actual genetics, your offspring. It's odd that we do that. And I think it's right. I think it's right. You should be more faithful to your sports teams than you are to your spouse. Because your sports team can't cheat on you. But your spouse can't. Your sports teams will be with you till you die. You can't say that about your spouse. But that's just a tangent. I'm going to say this kid was wearing a Cincinnati Reds hat, and I know there's no way he's a Cincinnati Reds fan. No, we live in Connecticut. I'm pretty sure, just from what I've seen, they root for the Connecticut UConn and local teams. I don't remember which ones. But okay, but a kid that didn't have kid energy to him, and he was wearing a Cincinnati Reds hat, although he lives in Connecticut. And just from what I've seen they just don't do it for me. I walk around the block, this entire family. There's something about this family of four. It's a bit of a cloud over me in this neighborhood, this family. And it starts with the parents. Obviously, the parents, there's nothing special about them, although they're doing much more than I am. They both drive nice SUVs. They have a house. They have a family. But anytime I see them outside or interact with them, just saying hello, it's a bit frigid. It's a bit frigid. That's what this house is. It's a bit frigid. At early spring afternoon, I went for a run. I'm feeling good. I'm lathered in sweat. It's been the first time in a few months. Yeah, I got that post-run. I don't get a post-run high. I get post-run depletion. I'm depleted of energy after running. But I'm happy because I no longer have to run for the rest of the day. And I walk by this house and I see this. And yeah, it's just they're frigid and they've put that frigidness onto their kids. And I'm just calling it out now. This kid is probably 8, 9 years old. This one in particular that I'm speaking of now. He's going to do nothing special with his life. He does not have whatever his makeup is or environment, genes, his family, his friends, his home, whatever it is, he doesn't have it. He does not, at 8, 9 years old, he does not have the ability to galvanize his classmates, his teammates, his families, or whatever activities. Whenever he's around a group of people, he's not going to be the leader. And if he is the leader, he's not going to be the one inspiring his teammates to be better, to want to be better. So I don't think that changes. Like, that's who he is at 8 or 9 years old. And I don't think he's going to somehow develop or gain the ability to inspire others. And he can't do that because he's not special. This kid, 8, 9 years old, he's adequate. That's all he is. He's a person. He's extracting energy, space on this earth, as we all do. That's all he's going to do. Now, maybe he'll end up owning a business and being successful, making money, and having a family of his own. Most likely, he'll do a few of those things. But that just because you have a family and a job doesn't mean you're special. That makes you a productive member of society. Yes, I do think his parents are. I don't know anything about them. This is just a person who walks around the block and sees them from the sidewalk and then judges their life knowing nothing about their life. That's what I do. I sightsee. I judge people I don't know. But it's just going to be another generation of nothingness when this kid grows up. And honestly, if I was his parents, I'd stop investing in him, the children. Now, obviously, it's much easier said when you're not the parent of the child to say, hey, stop investing in your child. He's not special. But you either have the specialness to you or you don't. And this kid doesn't. At what age do parents realize that? And if so, how soon? There is a point, right, when you look at your child and you go, it's just a person. There's nothing more. than what he's not gonna. That's just who he is. He knows how to read. He knows his basic math. He goes to his sports activities. But we really shouldn't invest any more of our effort into this child because we just know his makeup. He's going to be ordinary. He's going to be ordinary. So why invest more than we have to into this child? I think this is why I would be a bad teacher. In my 20s, when I was trying to be a teacher, and I would be a good teacher. But as a 40-year-old, I would get called into the principal's office after the teacher parent conference night, because I do think I would tell a lot of parents that their child is not special. He's adequate. If a parent came into my classroom, if this 8-year-old, let's say I was a third grade teacher, I don't know what grade this kid is in my neighborhood. Let's say he's in third grade, fourth grade. There's a parent teacher night where all the parents come in. You talk about your kid and how he's doing in class. And if his parents came into my class and they asked me, "Oh, what do you think of our child? How's he doing? What do we need to work on? What do you think the future holds for our child?" I'd probably say to the parent, I'd go, "He's forgettable. Your son is forgettable." In my teaching career, this hypothetical teaching career of mine, I've been a teacher for 15 years. I've had about 1,000 students. That's all your son is. He's one of the 1,000 students I had. I might remember his name. I might remember, honestly, I won't remember. I'll remember his face, but I won't remember his name. He was in my class for a year. That's all I really have to say. But not a bad kid. Not a bad kid. Does his work. But he's also, he brings no joy to me either. He's just a student in the seat, row 3, seat 4. He's there. He's in my class. That's all he is. And I'd be honest with the parents. Like, your kid's a piece of shit. He should be executed. Your kid's special. He's too smart for me. He should go to some school with a teacher who actually can remember history or whatever. But this teacher parent kind of, I'd go in. Yeah, he's just a student. He's just here. Same reason why I'm just a teacher. I'm nothing special about me. I got certified, smart enough to graduate college, whatever the fuck that means in 2026. I'm your ho-hum, middle-of-the-road teacher. My student, your son or daughter, he's matter, right? That's all. He's just a bunch of cells clumped. Imagine that. Imagine being a parent, going to a parent-teacher conference, and then you ask the teacher, "What do you think of my kid?" And the teacher goes, "He's matter. Bunch of cells clumped together into a human being. Nothing more, nothing less." That's what I would say to some of these parents. Thankfully, I am not a teacher. And I'm also thankful because I don't want to get up that early in the morning to have to go to school. But this kid in my neighborhood, nothing special. And he's not the only one. Also, as I was running today, there were 3 kids on their bike by a brook. There's a lot of brooks and streams near where I live. And they were coming out of the brook back onto their bicycles on the side of the road. And I looked at them. I waved to be polite. Hey, I'll try to be a friendly neighbor. And those 3 kids, was my first time seeing these 3 kids. So I haven't made a summation on the next 40 years of their life. But none of the 3 stuck out as being special. Again, they're just humans. And maybe I should be thankful. Hey, you don't want the kid that's going to. I'll say this about the kid around the corner from me who's nothing special. He ain't Hitler either. Chances are I don't get the vibe that he's going to grow up and gather a group of state militiamen and try to overtake the government. I don't see that in his future either. So I guess that's a positive. One positive he has going for him. But that's enough. That's enough about the kids in my neighborhood. All right. This is an adults only show. So enough talking about kids. Let's get to adults. This next one comes from the subreddit wedding. Been a long time since we've talked about weddings here at Verbal Graffiti. A potential breakup between best man and girlfriend. As the title implies, the best man for my wedding, brother, had recently indicated he was unhappy in his relationship. They've been dating for 2 years and was considering ending things with her. This is a major surprise for us as they were present at our engagement and she is supposed to be attending the shower in just a few weeks with the wedding following shortly after. My fiance and I are a little concerned that they are still both together after this news had come to light with the impending events coming up. The GF, girlfriend, is close with us by default since she's dating family, so she's been excited about the wedding, putting us in a bind. We don't necessarily want her in photos if this is going south. Anyone deal with a situation like this before? Should we not be stressing this? I don't believe you wrote this post. I believe that it is the fiance, the wife to be, that wrote this post in the boys or the husband to be's voice. And I know this because how did she phrase this? Okay. The best man for my wedding, and then in parentheses, brother. That's not how guys speak. Hey, you ask a guy who his best man's going to be for his wedding, he goes, oh, my brother. It's my best man. You say brother before best man. You don't say my best man is my brother. Guys say my brother is my best man. That's how I know the lady wrote this post and not the husband to be. So let's talk to the female, the wife to be. Now, this doesn't matter what I say because no one's listening or watching this. The fiance, she's not going to listen to me, even if she was listening to this. And again, this is Verbal Graffiti. I get about 10 views per episode. So we're going to generalize this. The husband to be needs to break up with his fiance before his brother breaks up with his girlfriend. Because this is clearly evident in this post that all the fiance cares about are the wedding photos. She does not care about you, the husband. She does not care about your brother and his crumbling love life. And she for damn sure does not care for the girlfriend that's soon to be the ex-girlfriend. So as a husband to be, I would warn you, going into this wedding, pay attention to the wedding photographer, right? Because I get the sense from this post that the fiance wrote that she's not going to care about you, the husband. She's going to care more about those photos the day of the wedding than she is you and how much fun you're having. She's a Debbie Downer. You know this wife is not going to allow her husband to drink before they take their wedding photos during the cocktail hour before the reception. He's not going to be allowed to have a good time the day of the wedding. And I guarantee, if you're the husband, I know you're not watching this, but if you're in this situation, pay attention to the wedding photographer and your wife's directions to the photographer, right? Because if your wife is directing the wedding photographer to take more photos of her and her girlfriends, than she is of her and you, the husband, there's a good chance in her mind she's already conjuring up the potential for a divorce down the road. And I know that because she wants to have photos of her looking hot in her wedding dress, pre having a child, and she wants to have photos with her and her girlfriends and bridesmaids and all that jazz. And she wants to have enough photos where you're not in the photos, where when she divorces you, you won't ruin the photos. And she can still look back on the photos of her and how hot she is compared to her girlfriends. And this is how your wife to be, this is how her mind is working right now. So even though she wants your brother to kick his girlfriend to the curb before the wedding so she doesn't ruin the photos, she's also thinking about you, the husband. And she can't tell you this, but she is thinking in her head, like, well, I got to make sure I get enough photos without my husband in the photos so that years down the road I can look at those photos. And the reason why, I mean, this is obvious, right? Even as a guy, I know nothing about photos, weddings, photography. I don't know anything about that. Never been married, but I've been to enough weddings and I've known enough crazy bitches to know. And you don't even have to be a crazy bitch. You could just be a normal bitch. Photos matter to women, much more so than men. So the reason why, we all know why she wants the brother to break up with his girlfriend, right? Because she doesn't want the girlfriend in the wedding photos. And then 10 years from now, when they're looking at their photo album at a party where a bunch of friends are there, and have someone point out like, hey, who's that bitch? Who's that random bitch in your wedding photos? All these wedding photos, who is she? And then she doesn't want to have to explain 10 years after the fact, like, oh, that's my brother-in-law's ex-girlfriend, and she doesn't want this lady to look like she was photobombing the wedding photos. Even as a guy, I know that, and it's a legitimate concern. But as a husband, like, you should be concerned that your wife-to-be, your fiance, is that concerned about the wedding photos. Now, all babes are a little batshit crazy when it comes to their wedding day and the photos and the bouquets and the setup and all that jazz. But the fact that your fiance is trying to play like Game of Thrones Survivor with her wedding photos and trying to end relationships so that her photos look, I don't know, better, will look more appropriate 10 years from now. Your wife has she has more than a little bit of deviance, devil, this manipulative mindset in her. If I was a husband to be, I'd be giving her a sideways look. I'd be questioning who I chose to be my partner the rest of my life. My partner. Hate that term. Say lover, not partner. I'm also a bit not concerned. I have an inclination that the brother's girlfriend is hotter than the fiance. That shouldn't have to be said. We know that. If this babe, the brother's girlfriend, was a fatty or just not an attractive person, like barely fuckable, that's okay. That'd be okay if she was in the photos. But the fact is, she's probably hotter than the bride-to-be, and the bride don't like that. So if she could kick a hotter person out of the wedding party, that means she looks hotter. The bride, that is. So if she could get that, that's a bonus as well. Oh, someone who makes me look uglier, like she's hotter than me, yeah, kick her out of the wedding party. So that's also another reason why she wants the girlfriend out of the family, out of the picture, literally. If you're the fiance, though, if you're the babe, the bride to be, be careful. Be careful. Who is, all right, the guy you're marrying, who is his brother? Right? He's had a girlfriend for 2 years, so clearly he's fuckable. He's able to get a girlfriend, a member of the opposite sex, to commit to him. So you have to ask it's better to know, what did I say that? It's better, it's better to know the bitch than the bitch you don't know. Is that how it goes? I'm not sure. All I'm saying is be careful. Be careful. Because the brother has proven he's capable of getting a babe as a girlfriend. All right? She's a known quantity. Whoever this girlfriend is, you know her. The entire family knows her. Now, in your mind, this relationship's going south. Well, if it's going to go bad, you might as well break up with her before the wedding, because then she's going to ruin all of our photos. So just do it before the wedding. You're going to break up with her anyway. In your mind, that seems logical. In most people's minds, it is a logical thought process and request. I think it is an honest request to go, hey, you know you're breaking up with your girlfriend. Can you do it before the wedding? Like, I don't want all my photos ruined. I think that's a legit request to ask of the soon-to-be brother-in-law of yours. Be careful. Cause I asked that because is a brother, does he have the riz? Does he have the aura to him? Is he a cocksman? Ask yourself, honestly, is he a cocksman? Because if he is, there is a possibility he breaks up with his girlfriend per your request. But then he brings another babe to the wedding that you've never met. And this could be a complete wild card. And this is somebody he just met off the street. Just a floozy. Maybe she's coming to the wedding wearing 6-inch stilettos, cheap perfume that you can smell all the way down the hallway as you go to use the restroom. She has her hair all done up, and she's got a loud, annoying voice talking with everybody during the cocktail hour, flirting with your father, your grandparents, dancing up on the dance floor, stealing your shine in your wedding dress. Be careful. Be careful. Because if the brother if he does have those capabilities, well, he just might bring the Joker to your wedding. And now me, if it's me, I'm not. I am not that guy. I'm not. When things end with me and a babe, because I've never really had a real relationship, so I can't really say I've broken up with people or babes have broken up with me. But when things end with a babe I've been with, usually it's a year or 2 or 3 before my penis gets touched again. I don't have the riz. Right? Whatever. I'm fuckable, but I'm not pulling. I don't really know how to pull. I just, right place, right time. That's how I get laid. Like if I was the brother, you could be almost certain that if you got me to break up with my girlfriend, that I would come to the wedding solo by myself. I would sip my whiskey, dance on the dance floor, and easy peasy. But this brother, he might be a cocksman. And he might go to the local strip club, pull a stripper, or pull a girl from his past and bring her to the wedding. And that girl could get drunk, puke on the dance floor, puke on your wedding dress. I don't know, start trying to make out with random people, giving guys sloppy top in the bathroom. It could be a complete wild card. Right? And the girl, the random bitch that the brother-in-law brings to the wedding might be more memorable than just having an ex-girlfriend in some photos that, just leaves the picture and then, you never see her again. So, it's your wedding. So, obviously you're playing the board. Or you want everything to be perfect. You want everything to go as planned. And here's this lady that's kind of in the family, but not by blood. So, and she's on her way out, and you kind of want to force your fiance to tell his brother, like, hey, push her off the board. We don't want her on the dance floor the day of the wedding, so get rid of her. But again, you can't control outside the wedding venue. You can't control it. If someone goes out, that leaves an extra ticket. And an extra ticket might be given to a bitch, a legit bitch that comes in and causes chaos on the day of your wedding. So you got to do the math here. And I don't think you've done it in your head. I'm doing it for you before the wedding. I'm helping you out. I should be a wedding planner. That's who the B-man should be. Yes, you want their brother-in-law's girlfriend not at the wedding so she doesn't ruin the photos. Be careful, because a brother-in-law might bring a new lady that's a tornado. So just be careful. But again, to the wedding, what a miserable life this husband's gonna live. A lady that's this invested in her wedding photos, that's not a lady you want to spend the rest of your life with. Really, the type of babe you want to marry is a type of babe who's okay with a couple of Polaroid photos of you in your wedding dress and tuxedo. If you want a babe who wants more than that, that's high maintenance. That's a lady who's never going to be satisfied with you. That's a lady... You could have an 8-inch dick, and she's going to go find some side dick. I mean, you think you have 8 inches? Like, dude, that should be enough. I work out. I bench 225. I have an 8-inch dick. To dick you down, right? I make $150,000. I'm 6 foot whatever. No. I pay for a wedding photographer. No. She's going to go out and get some strange. But the babe who just comes with a Polaroid photo, like old school photo, everybody take some photos. We'll put them together into an album. No one's professional. That's the lady you want to marry. That's the lady her concern is more about having fun than the wedding looking fun. That's love advice from the B-man. Someone who some say is loveless. But although I am special, going back to the beginning of this episode, I do believe you. If you were to go ask most of my teachers, maybe not most, but I'd say at least 20% of the teachers I've had, especially elementary and middle school, like pre-high school, would say, yeah, we think that when little B-man, he's going to do something with his life. And they're right. Look at me. Verbal Graffiti, 69 subscribers, 220 episodes in. Go suck a fat one.